study of music of other cultures can help open the doors not only to other musical systems, but also to different aspects of those cultures. For a musician, gamelan music can be appreciated not only for its rich tone quality, but also for the subtle relationships between its more than 20 different musical parts. Java is one of more than 3,000 islands that make up the Republic of Indonesia. Within Indonesia, there are several different music traditions. The gamelan music of Central Java is based mainly on styles that originated in the cities of Yogyakarta and Surakarta, also known as Jogja and Solo. The history of music and dance in Central Java extends back to ancient times. Regional courts in Jogja and Solo fostered the development of many performing arts, including music. Under royal patronage, these performing traditions were brought to the high level of refinement and sophistication that is evident in gamelan music and other Javanese arts today. After the formation of the Republic of Indonesia in 1945, the royal courts of Central Java continued to nurture the arts. Major support, however, is now provided by the Indonesian government. Since gamelan music was introduced to the West at the Paris exhibition of 1889, its attraction has grown internationally. Today, many gamelan are housed at museums, universities, and other institutions throughout the world, making practical involvement with the music possible for the non-Javanese. For students such as these at the University of Hawaii, the study of gamelan music can serve as an introduction to the understanding of Javanese culture. Because the basic principles of the music are quite clear, a beginning student may become involved immediately in playing many of the instruments in the gamelan. For the more advanced student, the subtleties and intricacies of the music at a more detailed level can offer years of challenging study. A complete gamelan consists of 2 sets of instruments made of bronze, brass, or iron and tuned to different scales. Since there is no standard tuning, the exact tuning of these scales may vary from one gamelan to another, thus giving each gamelan its own unique sound. The instruments of the 2 tuning systems are arranged in pairs, and each pair is the responsibility of one musician. Although some of the gamelan repertoire can be played in either tuning system, the ensemble rarely plays in both at the same time. The tuning systems are called slendro and pelog. In slendro tuning, the octave is divided almost equally into 5 tones. In pelog, the octave is divided into 7 tones, but the intervals between tones vary.
The instruments of the gamelan may be divided into 4 groups according to their function. 1, the balungan, or balung literally means skeleton, hence balungan would be skeleton-like, or that is the backbone of a given composition. 2, the punctuating group, marking important structural points. 3, the elaborating group, performing faster moving melodic lines related to the balungan. And 4, the tempo and dynamics conductor performed by the drum. This division of function is not rigid, At times, they may overlap.
The balungan is played by the saron family of instruments and the slentum. The slentum is the lowest in pitch of the balungan instruments. Its padded beater and thin keys give it a soft, mellow tone. The demung is the largest and lowest in pitch of the saron family. Note that the players damp the previously struck keys. The saron barong is an octave higher. The puking, which is an octave higher again, slightly elaborates upon the melody by doubling each tone. The length of the balungan can vary from piece to piece. The largest phrases of the balungan are marked by a stroke of the gong. A composition is made up of one or more of these gong phrases called gongan. In performance, a composition can be repeated a number of times, and in certain cases, individual gongan may also be repeated.
Repetition is an important principle in many music cultures, including Indonesian music. In gamelan music, the balungan or the skeleton is repeated as many times as the musicians consider necessary. This creates some kind of cyclical illusion. I say illusion because time goes on and you can't really return to the same point in time.
The big gong, the gong akung, is the largest of the gamelan instruments and the lowest in pitch. It is the most highly revered instrument and is often given a proper name, which in turn refers to the entire ensemble. In this case, Kiai Gandrung, the Venerable One in Love. In some compositions, when the gong strokes occur frequently, the gong su'an is played instead of the big gong. Certain principles govern the structure of any gongan. The most important moment of each gongan is at the stroke of the gong. The next layer of punctuation is provided by the kanong, a set of gongs resting on frames. The kanong may divide the gongan into halves or quarters, depending upon the form of the piece. The kumpul, a set of small hanging gongs, is sometimes played by the gong player. The kumpul subdivides the kanong phrases except the first phrase after gong, which by convention is left empty and called wala. A small single gong called kutuk provides the next layer of punctuation. The kutuk divides the phrases created by kumpul. These punctuating instruments function together as a small ensemble within the gamelan, providing a melodic and rhythmic framework, here based upon 16 beats per gong. This framework also provides reference points for the musicians as the balungan progresses from gong to gong and helps provide a method of keeping track of the relationships between the different parts of the ensemble without the use of a written score. There is no visual conductor in the gamelan, and because of this, each musician is required to know the relationship of each punctuating instrument to the balungan. When hearing the sound of the gong, the musicians know that one cycle has just been completed. At the sound of kanong, the halves or quarters are marked. The stroke of kampul and the silence at the velo divide the kanong phrases, while the katuk subdivides these phrases even further. This method of punctuation can be applied to compositions of many different sizes. 16 beats per gong is considered to be a rather small-sized form. This form may be contracted to 8 beats, or expanded in a number of different ways. Some of these larger forms may not use kumpul, and the placement of the katuk may vary. Regardless of the number of beats per gongan, the musicians must always refer to these punctuating instruments as they mark important structural points. A composition may be played at different tempo and dynamic levels. The dynamic levels are divided generally into 2 categories, loud and soft styles. In the soft style, the featured instruments are not the balungan instruments, but the instruments which elaborate upon the balungan. This elaboration can range from the simple to the very complex. The passages played may be directly related to the balungan or may be very abstract, relating only indirectly. The gender is a set of keys suspended over bamboo and metal resonators. The left and right hand parts are played in counterpoint and require intricate damping techniques. The chlimpung is the only plucked string instrument in the gamelan. It is plucked with the thumbnails and provides one of the fastest moving parts in the ensemble. Although most of the instruments of the gamelan are made of bronze, there is one that has wooden keys. The gambang plays mainly in parallel octaves and is not damped. The tones played by the bamboo suling have only an incidental relationship to the balungan. The bonang barung can relate to the balungan in a number of ways. One of its functions is as a melodic leader. Sometimes the bonang anticipates every note of the melody. By listening to the bonang, the players in the rest of the gamelan are led to the next notes of the balungan. Behind the bonang is the smaller bonang panarus, which plays at twice the density of the bonang barung and in similar style. The kendang player is the tempo leader of the gamelan. Tempo changes in gamelan music are crucial because the treatment of a piece changes according to whether it is slow or fast. Since it is uncomfortable for the balungan to be played at this increased tempo, the balungan players switch to a simplified version with half as many beats per gongan. The bonang players also changed their style to accommodate the faster pace. As the drummer leads the group to an appropriate tempo and dynamic level, the front row instruments begin to participate. The softer tone qualities of these instruments create a more tranquil atmosphere. The rebab player is invested with the most authority over the melodic direction of a piece. The rebab's distinctive timbre enables it to communicate melodic signals to the whole ensemble. The varied texture of the ensemble is enhanced by the participation of singers, who in this composition function as a chorus. Gamelan music may have many different functions, as concert music purely for listening pleasure, and as ceremonial music for circumcisions, weddings, and the observance of special holidays. Gamelan music may also be used to accompany various types of puppet and dance theaters found in Central Java. Regardless of the theater form, the gamelan helps set the proper mood of a dramatic situation by accompanying the action on stage with songs and instrumental compositions. Because many different types of characters and situations are portrayed, the treatment of a particular piece will vary according to the nature of the drama. The music must be flexible enough to respond to the tension of a fight scene or to the calm of a prince walking. Whether accompanying dance or puppet theater, the requirements of the drama are such that the musicians must be prepared to adjust their style of playing with very little warning. To accomplish this, the type of compositions used in theatrical productions usually have shorter gongan and somewhat different punctuation. This difference in the structure of the music as well as the elaboration on the balungan, creates the greater sense of urgency necessary for the accompaniment of dramatic situations, such as fight scenes, as in this dance version, in which a demon comes upon a refined prince. Said to be symbolic of the battle between the crude and refined aspects of any individual, and is one of the most popular in Java. It is portrayed not only in dance, but also in the wayang kulit puppet theater. Shadow puppet theater in Central Java is a highly refined and extremely popular art form. At the center of the performance is the puppeteer, the dalang, who, as the coordinator of a production, must be well-versed in many aspects of Javanese culture. The three main areas in which the puppeteer must be knowledgeable are storytelling, music, and puppetry. As a storyteller, the dalang creates dialogue upon traditional tales in a vocal quality suitable for the particular characters. This is the confrontation between a prince and a demon leading to a fight. As a musician, the dalang must be in command of all the narrative and mood-setting songs, as well as the gamelan compositions which accompany the scenes. It is his responsibility to give cues to the musicians for any accompaniment. These cues may take the form of rhythmic patterns played on the wooden box beside him, or through hints woven into the dialogue. The musicians must pay careful attention because a cue may come at any time. As a puppeteer, the dalang manipulates the puppets with movements appropriate to their characters. These movements are often accompanied by rhythmic accents performed by the dalang and the drummer. Since this rhythmic accompaniment is not always directly related to the tempo of the gamelan, it is essential that the musicians relate not only to the action on the screen, but to each other as well. It is the responsibility of coordinating the arts of storytelling, music, and puppetry that makes a good dalang a highly respected member of Javanese society. Usually taking up to 8 hours for a single performance, this theater form combines drama, music, and visual art into an entertainment medium popular with all age groups. In its retelling of ancient tales, the wayang kulit puppet theater serves not only as entertainment, but also as a means of communicating traditional values of Javanese society. An essential part of wayang kulit, gamelan music too expresses the ideals of a people whose sense of internal and external beauty is highly refined.
One day when I was in the 5th grade, my teacher told me that it is time for us to refine our behavior. It is time for us to study gamelan and dance. Now in retrospect, that's kind of curious that you study music not only to become a good musician, but to be a better human being, to be a better member of the society. That seems to be a bigger goal.